What's going on, guys? I'm IcyRhythms. Welcome back to another video. And yes, I know it's been 2-3 weeks, maybe longer, since my last video. I've just been really sick. There's been some other things going on. Been busy, work, life, sick, just things in the way. You know, I can't always make time for as many videos as I would like to, but I feel like I'm back now. I feel like I'm in a much better position to throw out a few videos in the next week. So, with that being said, 1440p, you're seeing by the title, is it worth it as a PC gamer in 2019? And the short answer to that question for me, since having a 1440p monitor over the last few days, is yes, absolutely yes. But one thing that you need to know, and there's going to be some things that you need to ask yourself, is even in 2019, 1440p is much more demanding than 1080p. And I can't imagine the sacrifices that people have to make gaming at 4K. People out there lying to you, telling you that they're on a 2080 or a 1080 Ti or a 2080 Ti or whatever it is, playing at 4K, 120, 144 frames a second, every game maxed out. They're lying to you. A single GPU, the latest games, I'm not buying that. People are making, if they're gaming at those frame rates, they are making some very big sacrifices at 4K. I'm a performance guy, so even now at 1440p with this big jump, not quite the jump. Okay, so standard definition to high definition, I don't know if we'll ever get a jump quite like that again. And, you know, probably if you're gaming at 720p or 1080p, jumping all the way to 4K, even at 60 frames a second, that's probably a much bigger leap than what I got going from 1080 to 1440, but it's still a really nice leap. It's not massive. It's about what I expected. It's not a massive, huge jump, but it's good enough. A lot of my older games, I think, have surprised me the most, like how much better they look and the overall, like, just so much more screen real estate that you get with games and on your desktop, and you know, your workflow if you're a content creator just changes. It changes everything. Web pages, I'm liking it. In fact, I think I probably love it. I don't know if I could go back to 1080p. My 2080, one of the problems was my 2080 on average, even in some of the more demanding games, was sitting at around 30 to 40% GPU usage. You know, it's 1080p, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this just isn't doing anything to this 2080. I need to finally, you know, make the jump and step it up, and it has been worth it. I'll say it has been worth it. Again, a couple of the things that you need to ask yourself is, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to spend? And what is my current hardware? Because if you're looking to make that jump to 1440p and you're on, say, like a 1050 Ti or like a 970, 980 Ti, or probably even a 1070 for that matter, I would say, me personally, stick with 1080p, because you're going to be making a lot more sacrifices, even more than I like to make with a 2080. If you're a big performance guy, which I am, you're going to be making a lot more sacrifices if you're gaming on much lesser hardware than say a 1080 Ti, 2070, 2080, and 2080 Ti. So it's just, it's all about what you want in the end. But I would say that the leap is big enough, not massive. Again, keep that in mind, not massive. The leap is big enough to make it worth it if you have the hardware to push it. Now, as the years go by, you know, a 2080 Ti, 1080 Ti, they're not going to be pushing a lot of the latest games anymore, unless they're really well optimized. A lot of things matter in those situations. Engines, talent on the development team, a lot of those things matter. You know, just the overall design of the game itself. A lot of that stuff matters. Like, I've been playing, I don't even know how many games. Like I said, a lot of my older stuff I think has surprised me the most, and the need for anti-aliasing is just, I wouldn't say it's non-existent. It depends on the game, but even just 2 times as opposed to having like 4 times anti-aliasing or 8 times anti-aliasing depending on the game and how bad the jaggies are. Now if you just enable 2 times, it looks so clean. It's very clean. I don't want to say there's no jaggies anymore. That would be a lie, but it's just really clean. I've been playing Crysis 3, which is a terrible game. It is a terrible game. I've done videos on Crysis 3, at least one that I know of, where I talked about how graphics can be absolutely amazing, but the game itself sucks. Metro Exodus, stuff like Borderlands 2, Splinter Cell Blacklist, a lot of these older games, everything just looks so much better now. I couldn't be happier, and I feel like if you made that jump and have the hardware to run it, or even if you don't but are willing to make more sacrifices than someone like myself, yes, make the jump to 1440p. It's so fucking worth it. Even if you're just talking, take gaming out of the equation for a moment. Yeah, you get a lot more screen real estate in games, but even on your desktop, if you're a content creator, you do streaming or whatever it is, if you do a lot of that stuff, your workflow, the overall efficiency of everything has just increased in such a big way. I can remember a friend of mine, Blacktooth, telling me about this in 2014, 2015, and he had like the top of the line GPU at that time. Whatever the best Titan was at that time, he had it, and he was gaming on a 1440p 60 hertz monitor, so like he couldn't even really push the high frame rates without like screen tearing and a lot of those different things. But he was telling me way back then, man, like I'm so blown away by how much more room I have to work with, and that's what you're getting to. So there's a lot of things to consider. If you're just gaming, then it's worth it. If you're a content creator and you don't even do any gaming, then 1440p is probably still worth it. Or if you want to make that jump to 4K, it's probably worth it for that as well. Just workflow efficiency, stepping up your resolution is going to help in a really big way. So in conclusion, yeah, man, I would say, I'm not the end-all be-all. I am not the overall authority on 1440p or just resolutions in general, but having spent, the last 3, 4, 5 days with 1440p, this 32-inch monitor has been unbelievable, and I don't think that I could go back and play games at 1080p. I guess I would prefer to do that than go back to standard definition or even 720p. If I absolutely had to, I suppose that I would. I suppose that I could. I wouldn't want to. 1440p is that good. Keep in mind, again, I'm not trying to lie to you here. It's not a massive leap, but the leap is good enough. The leap is big enough, and I think you should do it. If you haven't done it, you got the hardware to run it, do it. 1440p. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. All the continued support. You guys are amazing, man. Thank you for sticking it out. Thank you to all the new subs that have been subbing and I haven't been doing videos. You guys are awesome as well. You guys take care. Have a good night. Peace.